Система была полностью переустановлена. Я так понимаю, что из русского языка, языке является пакет, да, не спрашивает создатель,
So here is the link to the presentation. So if you want, you can, and it will be there for a long time. Actually, it's a website, so you could use it all the time. I think it's stored in my GitHub, so it will be there. And on the bottom is the link to my GitHub, so if you want to install my website, you're actually free to do this. It's all materials are on the GitHub. Today and tomorrow I will be talking about my package that I've read about the called link topology. And this is a package for, and is it visible for guys like IT, for instance, or do you see this? Or should I increase this?
Without glasses, not.
Okay, let's call this visible stuff. So this package is created for creating maps. And actually it's nice that Luba has a lecture today because I breathed with the pleasure that everything that she said is not about my members. Everything is okay. It's called link typology. So once I have, when you there is some group that called R Open Site, and they review different packages that you wrote. And there I promoted Taras Saharkar, I think, and some other guy from the cartography. They asked me to change the name of the package because for some reason it was for that stage it was just for creating maps. But then I still think that it's nice to have typology here because it now it provides different API for different linguistic databases such as Latalog, Vols, Foible, Autotype, and actually a lot of some more. And I hope that I'll do some more in the so you could use them. So first is and it's nice in the way that we heard in the today's lecture because it's actually you could create some interactive database with all zooming in, zoom out, and it's you could store your data in this data, some simple table that linguists create something like that we showed on your lecture, and then just creating some typological maps are really easy. Just have a list of names, have a feature, and that's all. What you need, because now you just then write down one simple function and then you have a map. If you want to change something there, you have add some little tiny things, but everything is described in the package. So today we'll try to start with this, and tomorrow we'll have some more complicated stuff. So today we'll discuss something like glocalog functions, and how to create simple maps. Tomorrow we will talk about how to create some database like walls, for instance. You could create it with one line again. Just give me a table, and then I will create your walls in one line. And some more visualization stuff. So, for instance, how to create automatic region showing something, or borders, or how to map, for instance, villages or not simple languages, and something like how to map different features. So, for instance, if you have 2 or more features, how to create a map with more features than one. And the last thing for tomorrow will be facetization stuff. So, for instance, if you have different, like if you know facet grid or facet wrap from the digital package, then you know link topology do the same stuff for maps. So you have different, for instance, so you have some feature, grouping feature, and then you could easily create a set of maps aside each other, and then you could, and they will be grouped by some variable. So, for start, how to install the package? Package is on CRAN, so you could find it there. So you could find install package link topology. In most cases, it will work. For some Windows, so does everybody have the problem with this? Here. For now. You do. And you have Windows or
No.
Linux. Okay. So, and what does it say?
Yeah.
Okay. Strange how to handle that. Now, guys, I don't want to struggle with this kind of problem now, so actually I propose you to use, oh, I haven't tried, I didn't write it down. There is a really nice website that called RStudio Cloud. In that case, you have something in a cloud and you don't need to install anything on your PC. So it's rstudio.cloud, and then you need to doing something sign up stuff, but you could use your Google account or GitHub account or anything like this. And then you have something like RStudio, and link topology looks like it could be installed there, because I've done this morning. So if you don't want to install, if you have some problems with this, then will be a solution for you. And then we will look and try to figure out, because it's not a problem of link topology, it's our problem.
And if I don't have any problems with this package, but then when I try to open the library,
Well, that's strange.
it's installed here.
No, it's something like depends on available for this package. I have a lot of warnings here. I propose you to use RStudio Cloud for now, but this is a solvable problem. Okay? RStudio.cloud. Okay? So any other problems? Package installed.
Not yet.
Not yet. But actually, if package is installed, then everything will be okay. It's the
So today we need only one.
only one package. Okay, so I'll be showing everything in my RStudio, but anyway, if you have some, so there are two ways. First, you could just easily download it from CRAN. You could use my development version, but now it's not really different from this using DevTools. So you could download it from my GitHub. And actually, if you have some problems with this, you could try to install previous version because it's more stable than the last one. For Debian version, Voronovo claimed that you should install 2 additional libraries. So if you're not Debian, just skip this part of the information. And on the last thing that we need to do is library link typology. If everything is clear and you don't have any errors on that stage, everything is cool. If you do, just try rstudio.cloud or something like this online stuff for this. So now I expect from all of you doing on your PC something like library link typology. And I expect something like this. If you have, if there is no any errors, if in that case everything okay. So what is the logic that stands behind the link typology? First, I use the logic of CLD project. So the main idea that everybody every linguist have talking about some languages, but everybody quote this language differently. So we have some project like, for instance, Glottolog that creates every code for every language, and it's more or less more sufficient because it is this term that we call languoid. That actually notion for language, dialect, or some branch of something. For each this level is you have some code. So the logic here that we have these codes, and I just scrapped the Glottolog database, and you need to have these names after this database. So for instance, if you know plenty names of your language, in this package is link typology, it's better to use this one that is listed in Glottolog webpage. What then? Then you actually know the name of the language, and for instance, if you want to create a map of some languages, you just list the languages that you want to create a map of, and then you have a map. That's all. Where you don't need to think about the coordinates unless you work on the dialectology or something when you have different villages. So for today we'll do some typological stuff when you have 1 dot per language, and these coordinates are taken from the Glottolog database. So first I'll show some function about the common names and syntax. Is what you need dot what you have. So for instance, you have af dot language. That means that you want to get affiliation by language. Area by land. So you need get area, macro area by language, and so on. There are plenty of them. So this is country where the language is spoken. This is ISO code. This is Glottolog code. This is latitude and this is longitude. So all these functions are quite the same, so we could use some of them. So for instance, I want to know affiliation of Adiga language, and then I get this. So here I have this, so for instance, f.lang for Adiga language. And then I have North Caucasian, West Caucasian, Circassian, and so on.
So what's the information? So I can put the name of the language, the glottal code, or what is allowed to put as name? The glottal code also works?
Glottal code works, but in that case we will need to change off to dot glottal
okay.
something, or play with the
language.
Okay, so what if I want to have different, more than one language? So in that way, it's the only function that we'll learn from R today is the concatenate, and that will create a vector of different items. So here are Adiga and Russian, for instance, and I have two affiliations. So it's Indo-European, Slavic, and East. Glottolog is not ideal, and probably everywhere some mistakes, but the main good thing about Glottolog that it doesn't think that it's stable. So the guys who created this actually very happy when you write an issue to them on the GitHub, and they change the database from time to time. I'm really happy about it because once I've downloaded the whole database, and then I've just created a map of all languages of Glottolog, and then I created an issue about languages that are a little bit wet. Because some of the language in this database were dotted in the sea or something that's not really pleasant. So, for instance, sea or ocean or somewhere. So I just created a list of these languages that are located have wrong coordinates and created an issue, and they changed it for the web. Okay. So what are the functions we have here? We have different function for get some information based on language. We could use it in the reverse way. For instance, here we have give me some languages based on affiliation, or ISO code, or Glotto code. So, for instance, answering your question, if you want to have plenty of Glotto codes, you could do something like take languages and then provide it to the other function that will provide you affiliation, for instance. There are some functions that convert Glotto codes to ISO codes and ISO codes to Glotto codes if you need this kind of conversion. And I use a little bit old version of Glottolog database. Now it's 3.0. I use the old version, but one day I will change this. And it's not really important for most of the work. So what is the Glottolog database that's provided by link typology? There is something like called Glottolog original or Glottolog modified, because I changed something in Glottolog database for my purposes. So, but the main stuff that you can find there is language, ISO code, Glotto code, longitude, latitude, affiliation, area, alternate names, affiliation. This means Hammerstrom, I think. Country, dialects, language status, language use, location, population, numeric, typology, and writing. So this is a lot of information that you could get just filtering and selecting stuff you want. And this is, so you could use Glottolog original database, but mostly it's a little bit modified. So, yeah.
Could you please explain
Okay, I know what the problem.
Yeah, whether it's possible to use, how to convert this to your functions, or it's impossible?
No, let's have a look.
I mean, for instance, well, I have tried playing with some of these things already, and it's really great. But for instance, if I'd like to learn additional names of certain languages, what should I do?
Have a look. Glottolog original and actually Glottolog modified is a table, big, huge table. So there are two big, huge tables in the package. More before. So we can use head, and this is, the first 6 something, and it's really long because there are a lot of information, but we could see it. So it's language, Yan Away, Tawande, Southern Coastal Yuin, and so on. It's the first 6 languages. ISO codes for them, Glotto code for them, longitude and latitude, affiliation, area, and so on. So it's just a huge table that you could download, so just write down to your PC and look through this, or use some filtering techniques, and I'd rather not to say it now because it's not important for these classes. But you actually could, you could filter out some only African languages, or only, I don't know, Circassian languages, or only languages that's spoken in Russia. Okay, so how to use these base functions? So first you could use a regular string, so you put the parentheses and then you put the name of the language, and then you get the result. It could be used in the reverse way, so iso.lang give me iso code, and lang.iso give me a language with this iso code. How could I help you?
With the basics. I have not yet succeeded in installing.
But it's still installing, yeah.
Still installing, okay. So then I can show.
Okay, yeah, I heard as well that he said it's not possible.
What's
So what?
It doesn't recall you. Try to use cloud version. So rstudio.cloud.
If you use rstudio.cloud, you still need to install it, but there you will succeed in installing it.
Okay, but
So-
I just went to packages and I said install a
Yeah,
package.
yeah, cool.
Let's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what could we put in these functions is a simple string, like here, or a vector of strings, like here. So I have this function C that concatenate create a vector. So you have aduget and aduget, and you could create a variable with this. So this arrow here denotes that this vector have the name lang, and then it's possible to use this variable lang in the other functions. So you could use everything you have, or you could download VR readsys.csv function, some table from your computer, and then use this in these functions or other. Quite all functions have really normal behavior, and there is only one problem, and not standard one, is the country language, because when you have country.language function, is by default it returns you the value of all languages. So for instance, Udi is spoken according to glottal in Russia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan. Laz is spoken in Turkey, Georgia, France, United States, and Germany, and Belgium. But there is another function that you could use an intersection is another argument here. If you put intersection equals true, in that case it will intersect these two sets, and you have the only one who's in the both sets. But it's the only strange guy in all these function sets.
Well, you're right. It can mean if you try to for instance to get all languages once spoken in France, the results get quite weird.
Yeah.
Actually.
There are a lot of, but actually I don't believe in this kind
You
of
are.
spoken in,
You are.
because they
You are.
took this information from
Sensign.
from not
Ethanol.
From ethanol,
That's
yeah.
the world mapping.
Yeah.
system.
yeah, and this is really ugly source.
Well, but you know, I'm sorry, but Harold got the ethnologue from me. So he's building that database on top of the ethnologue. So Harold could not have done that without the ethnologue.
Yeah,
So,
okay, that's a good point. The other stuff that I really like, and was the first stuff I created, was spell checker, because I'm pretty sure that, for instance, you have some idea about the language, for instance, Mari, and you provide it or Arabic, and you try to figure out how to create some map with including Arabic, and then you put there, create a map with Arabic, and then it just broken up. It will be really ugly. So for this reason, I created a spell checker that checks whether it is in our database and what could it be. So first, I need to provide different names for different countries. So for instance, we have Cote d'Ivoire and Ivory Coast, and it will be different stuff. But what, you shouldn't think about this. I'll thought about this after. Something like USA. It's really common to say USA, not United States of America. In that case, it's just I use head function here because language by country, there is a huge amount of languages there. So you could use this common shortenings and different names, and there is a spell checker. So for instance, let me show it for you. So if I don't know, want to know affiliation by language there without H, then I will see something like language ADG is absent in our version of glottal database. Did you mean ADG or ADG? Arabic is drama actually, because if we change it to Arabic, yeah, hey, so what you actually mean was something like, I don't know, standard Arabic, somewhere is standard Arabic, so you need to find out. But in most cases, it's okay. The problem is that sometimes you need something like Mari language, and you need to think whether it's which kind of Mari do you need. And this sometimes get ugly. But here is I want to provide you my way of thinking. So, glottolog, so for creating maps, you need to decide what is that language. There will be cases when you are not agree with the classification of glottolog, ethnolog, or anything else. But actually, this classification is not really important. It doesn't. It's not a problem for your work. You could still create a map if you call this not Arabic and standard Arabic, for instance. Or you have general idea of Arabic, but you need to select some elect for this. So provide this name, any of them, and it will be mapped as you want. This will be influenced only on one thing, on the coordinate, and even this thing you could change. So, but what I've done, I strictly asked people to select a language they're talking about. Not about just create a point somewhere, but just create and name this point is spoken in this language. So for instance, if you have a lot of dialects, you still need to show in the code that they are ADG or Cabredian dialects, for instance. Okay? So sometimes you won't be happy with the solution, but actually the result you could achieve the result you want, even if you're not happy with this classification stuff. Okay. So there are some changes in glottolog database. So so you could use different. So here, for instance, how do you name Abkhaz and Abkhazian? And in the glottolog original version of glottolog, Abkhaz is false and Abkhazian is true. But after my changes, Abkhaz is true and Abkhazian is false. It still provides you this spell checker stuff. So if you put there Abkhazian, it will say you, oh, did you mean Abkhaz? But you could change it with this function. Is glottolog just check whether this language is in the database or not. And it's not really important function, so just don't try to remember this, it's not important for now. Okay. And from this point you can create something like how many Celtic languages in the database. I know that you are smart guys and probably could provide these numbers without looking at the database, but it will be nice to, it will be works only for Celtic languages. So try to provide something there, and probably if you want to check.
May I ask a silly question?
Absolutely.
Probably you have to have it.
Do you have a listing of the functions in your politics? Oh, you still can, okay. So, okay, happy hours too, you have.
Okay, can we go to
I saw all Welsh also something.
But it might be languages and not lower level languages.
Yeah, maybe, yes. So let's see what
I went to packages.
I voted overflow with Australia.
And
Here it says 16.
Yeah,
So
that's,
that's
I've made it.
It's a problem. Here it says 16.
I've made it for, I know, and you need to struggle with that, because it's actually saying you something.
You tell it that you want to create your own library.
No, it did.
And these
Yeah.
are
No one has to use a bit of a root.
Well, at first I didn't see
That's
it,
weird.
but I ended up seeing it.
So now
Right, this is the language.
it's
Yes.
time for ambulance for
I guess
people
these
who
are,
have.
these should be languages, right?
Yes.
The bold.
yeah.
So,
No, it's bold because
can you change the mirror?
Yes, yes, yes. The bolts are
Yeah,
always yes. The bolts are always
Yeah,
languages.
well,
And the
yeah.
italics are
But
direct.
essentially what is
Now I,
This is 16, so it's counted here.
okay,
So something is
I
wrong.
selected the Swedish,
Well, maybe it's not counting all that, or maybe it's those spoken in some place today. Because all Welsh, if I search language UK, I get all Welsh. All Welsh is a thing, it's not here. Is it called just Celtic? Maybe it's taking a to
maybe you shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, I did, but it's still
okay, well,
Sorry. Like this, I get but that one says something else. And this exists because, for example, all Welsh, if I ask languages in UK, I get all Welsh.
Okay,
But it's not if I ask the Celtic languages.
that probably is a problem of what is called Old Welsh.
Yeah.
Ah,
Ah, yes, it's command. So, okay, it's not linked in this.
yeah, no,
This version is blood or something.
no, I need to find this. It's in there. This is language. No, I need to think on this. I don't know.
Maybe it's only current languages or
No, it's not current.
But for some reason it's here. Welsh.
Actually, if you ask the country, you should that
Recently. Welsh wasn't that.
yeah, Welsh is like modern Welsh, which has dialect. But all Welsh is a different.
Old Irish. Old Welsh is here. Strange. But I don't know. I need to think of this. I don't know why it's so, but I think you can do this instead. Or not. Yeah, there's no coordinates for all those. So you can do even this. But this is good. This is good strategy. Well, yeah, that's the answer for the move from there.
Question, if it is, for example, languages in like this, and in the kingdom you get a list. The first is only, so the modern English is somewhere. So the order, can I order them in terms of number of speakers or alphabetic or something, or it's completely random, the order in which they appear?
Order is random, but it's possible to sort them. You need, for this language, extract information about the speakers from the... It's more about, it's not innate functions, but you could use the... I could do it in something like this. Do you know deploy R?
Not
Yes,
much,
no.
but yeah,
Okay.
you know, you can use it, and I can manage it. So I have, I
Not
use it.
modified, then I need to use something else. Wow. Lucky
So I'm right.
UK. Ah, you know it. And it's all the languages. And then we need to have this column. Population. And then you could store this and then but put all of them
Yeah,
in
okay,
A. So
okay.
but you could then order doing this stuff. So just
Like
it's
population?
querying to this database.
You have population with population overall. So if I ask languages in the United States, I will get first Spanish because. So if I want to see,
Yeah,
I
probably.
can see the most spoken language in each country. So
I think you could, but
Luba,
just remember
I
this
sent
is
you something
ethno
that
data,
I saw a
it's
couple of weeks ago. I thought it might interest you.
So
Thank you.
since then, I really don't care about this because I don't really believe in this. Anyhow. So, do we have the question on the first, sorry, answer for the first question?
Yeah.
Who is struggling with this?
Hey. No, I'm
Should I help somebody with this? With the first one?
I
Okay.
get 7, not 8.
Sorry?
I get 7.
How could I help you?
No. They somehow don't list their old language.
Did you get the answer?
Yeah, but I get not 8.
Ah, okay. Not the...
But it's 6.
Yeah, for some
It's
reason,
6.
it's 6.
It's 6.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, you know that it's not true. I hope.
The next one, I'll try to show you the next stuff. You will be more happy if you know something like this. So this function will say you the length of the vector. Since then, you could use this to give me blank by actuation and Austrian.
Your
Will say you something like this.
no. And that's the second largest filler.
And the last one is not so hard because it just you need to use this function for country by language and intersection equals true. Yeah, so it's not a problem. But if you haven't get the answer, try to get this answer for this and check your results. Okay, so next, how to create a map. you just have one simple function like map feature, then you provide a vector with of your languages that you want to create, and then you have a map. And this map is zoomable. This map have a scale. This map could have a title, but I haven't provided here because it's a simple example. And actually this is more or less interactive, so you could use Bulgarian here, and you get to the Glottolog page if you are lucky. And you know, here is some information about the okay, I need to use VPN for this. So here we are on the Bulgarian in the Glottolog. And all information about this. So, and this is really easy. You could create something like this in one simple row. What could you do then? Yeah?
How about like situating, I mean, this is not really important with European languages, but something like EMS or anything else, we need an overview map. We need to situate our special
I could
reference.
answer your question, but it's not important now. Okay. So, for instance, if you're so what if I want to create something like this? EMS, and this is only one language, so it will be one dot somewhere in nowhere.
Somewhere in the middle of
Yes,
nowhere.
I tried
yes.
to get a buzzer and it showed me
But actually, there is a
at some particular house and the intersection of some particular street and some particular village.
and you know this village actually, I think. It's a little bit easier. The thing about
No,
this.
it's not.
So for instance, this is not cool because I have something somewhere in America, but
Somewhere in
sorry, in
Bhopal.
Virginia.
Bhopal.
And we have this minimap here that will show you that this piece of island is somewhere near Australia. And you will have something all the time. So for instance, if you have strange zoom here or here, this will help you. And you could increase or decrease this. So if you get based on your coordinates in nowhere, you could create a minimap that will show where it is on the more huge place.
But then can I control the minimap?
Not much, but in some way.
Is there a restriction on how many minimaps I can have?
There is a restriction, but I'll show you tomorrow how to create different maps with different zooms. You could actually control zoom levels. So for instance, here you could create the same stuff without minimap. I could say something like zoom level equal 2. In that case, you have something like this. So if you want to,
That's not what I'm looking at.
so you want to have 3 maps like you showed on your presentation.
Well, no,
I'll
not
show you tomorrow how
necessarily.
to
It
do
depends
this.
from case to case, you know. In some cases you do need 3 different frames so that you really show where that is in for some very obscure locations. In other cases you don't need one at all. I mean,
So I could create your map from your slides. I could create the map and you have big zoom, some, I don't know, any number of zooms that
country
you
level
want.
zoom and then continent zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could create, I'll show you tomorrow.
Okay.
Sorry, a question. If you ask country language, you get all the list of languages for the
Yeah.
languages. But if you ask the map, you get only one. If you ask Russian, you get only Russian. You don't get all the language, all the. So it's.
Yeah, because in that case, map feature, you map the Russian language, and for each language, it's only 1 dot for today.
Okay.
Tomorrow we'll have a lot of dots for one language. So for instance, I'll show how to create different dialects of suggestion languages. So what we have here, since today I wanted to be more topological, think more topologically than dialectically, and I want to create some features that I want to annotate. So here I create something that called data frame in R. So data frame is a simple table. When you have something like names and then a vector of equal length. So for instance here we have Aditya, Kabardian, Polish, Russian, Bulgarian, and features polycentric, polycentric, fusional, fusional, fusionals. And this looks like this. So it's just simple table, but I want these languages colored by this feature. How can I use? So first you could just copy and paste this to your R script. For instance here. And then you could get this map. So what is important here? First I created a data frame and this $sign is mean that I call a column from this data frame. So now I have map feature and I have additional arguments for this function map feature where I provide the feature I want to color by. So here it's colored in two colors based on these values in this table.
And can we choose the color?
Yes. You want which of them you want. You don't like orange, color, red, and I don't know, white. So color is controllable. Already in control.
And what does mean this C before?
C is concatenate. It's that
Oh.
it means that the new vector with two values, red and white, for each feature.
So when we create a new vector, we have to have a C or?
Yeah, when we create a new vector, we use this C command. Okay, but features could be different. So I try to show you a data set that is in link topology. This data set holds adjectives and consonants. And this is just something like 90 languages from Yupsido database. And the information about whether they have adjectives.
Sorry, Larry.
Yeah,
You're a bit too false.
okay. Where
Could you please get back to how people do colors?
to this one.
Yeah, it's not in the presentation. By the way.
What color is not representation?
No.
Yeah, I know. Because I printed it for because I was asked to color them differently. But the main idea that you have languages, features, and then you will have more additional arguments, and then you could use everything in one. You could change opacity, you could change size of these dots, you could change background of this, so change this from the OpenStreetMaps to some other tile provided by other users. A lot of could be changed. You could provide title to this legend that we have here. Everything could be titled, everything could be, okay? So, what's your problem here?
Well, it's not a problem, it's an observation. I decided to take 3 features instead of 2,
And
and I entered only 2 colors, and it seems that it treats, it sort of makes up for the error and mixes the 2 colors into something.
yeah, just change that, just add them one color. Be a good boy.
Yeah.
Don't try to
it's-
break everything.
Yes, but
It's the time to get it.
But it's nice.
Yeah, it's. I should figure it out how
So,
to.
like, if, for instance, if I have a feature which is really gradual, then it's possible just to
create numbers from them. I'll show you. It's just the next idea. So the next idea is that features could be different. Features could be categorical like this, and could be numeric. So for instance, number of consonants is more or less numeric value. So it's not really interesting to have a huge legend when you have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, because you don't have 5 and 6 in your database, and so on. So for these purposes, I just want you to copy and paste this part of code. And this is, again, it's just two simple lines that you have. So adjectives and consonants. It's something. It's some database that is in link typology. So you could use $sign language like before, and adjectives like we used before. Features. It's just a name. So.
Sorry, can I ask you, what is the $sign?
Okay, you have a table, the
Yes.
whole data frame.
Uh-huh.
So this all columns in table have its name.
Okay,
So you just use this name of the column
okay.
for calling this.
And you already gave the title to those columns. This is
Yeah.
why you can, okay. And this access only the column and you cannot access the rows in that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
in that way you can access the only column names. Okay, so my idea here that I've created some map. Here it is. Let's zoom in. So it's some languages that are colored by presence of adjectives in the system. So here are some languages, few languages with adjectives, and a lot of languages without adjectives. What if I have numeric value like number of consonants? In that case, I want to change a little bit this code. This is in presentation, so it's like here. And I want to use another variable, not adjectives, but consonants. If I create this map, the result will be like this. So I have something like white, the language that have a small amount of consonants, and these two languages have a lot of consonants. So we created a scale, and we could color our languages in that way. And again, you could change the colors if you don't like blue anymore, or to anything you want. Again, you could just provide two colors for beginning and to the end, and it will be split. So for instance, for white to red, or from red to white, or anything you want. And from this point of view, I want to show you the last thing for today. No, not the last. Is the
Excuse me, I don't understand like, the difference. Why is it gradual?
because there are numbers in this data table, in this data frame. It automatically understands that it's numeric, and since it understands that it's numeric, in that case it will use a scale for coloring this.
So it decides itself.
Automatically.
So,
you will have a problem if you have numeral variable that is not, you don't want to treat a numeral. You need to convert it to something like, for instance, for strings to strings or factors.
so you don't have to code your feature. If your features are in fact categorical, you don't have to code them as 1, 2, 3. You can code them as A, B, C if you want, but never 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be good practice for us. First, my maps were looking like this. So there are two actually ways of creating maps. When you have Atlantic Sea in the middle, or when you have Pacific Sea. Ocean. Yeah. It was really nice for Taras Saharko and his comments that typologists for some reason for some known reason, like Pacific-centric maps because it displays the elevation and how people raise on the Earth. So it's something the way they explore the Earth in something. So for this reason, the typologists like create maps with Pacific-centric way, but there is one map that should be definitely created with Atlantic Sea map, Atlantic Ocean map in the center, and I'll want to create it now. It will be a map when I want to get some languages using affiliation, and then I want to use this map. Orientation is Atlantic, and here will be sign.
No, again, you're too quick. Oh, you are too quick.
I know, I will return to the code. So here is the code. Oh, sorry. Here is the code that creates you a map with all sign languages in the world using only two lines of code. And it's definitely should be created with the Atlantic Center view because the first schools were in Europe and then they spread from France to other places. So this should be, if you want to think about this in that way, it will be better to create in this way. But I think that actually it depends on what you need. So, but just know that if you want to change Atlantic-centric maps to Pacific-centric maps or vice versa, you just could do this with this language. So from this point of view, we could create simple maps, we could do simple typology and try to be walls and try to create something like wall-style maps. We just lack some features, and these features are labeled. So, for instance, now we need to press on each dot to know what is the language. So the last thing in this lecture is labels. So you could, there is another argument here, it's label, and then you have def $language, for instance, and in that case you will have something like this. So it will appear when you have mouse over. So Adegaric, Virgin, and Russian. I think it's really. So you could change everything. So it could be size could be changed. Label position could be changed. Do you want to hide a label all the time, or you need to have them all the time on the not trying to disappear? This will be important for instance, static maps that you want to print in your publications or somewhere. All this manageable again. So you could do this. And this should be really easy. And I think in the last, I don't know how many time we have, but you could recreate in the last. We have something like 20 minutes or 10 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, so you have 20 minutes for recreating this kind of maps that we have here. Two. One of them is this and this.
I'm sorry, I came in late, so I don't know where to find your presentation.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
tinyurl.
tinyurl.com.
Just
Okay.
just print.
Moroz and link type project will be the first one.
Okay.
No, another thing that, I mean,
Another one.
yeah, it's another site,
Mm.
but it's more aware. Будет быстрее. Вы умеете экспортировать это все? Нет, просто нужно конфликт. Просто сохранить как растение, да, и какой-то прикошку с растением. Это не скопирует, но оставить какой-нибудь.
What?
The usual story is it's always
So I'm not alone. And then I never show well administration.
Should I help somebody?
Подписи отдельно нет,
Да, секунду, воспоминания, все будет вот так.
Я, может, просто лынку записать, чтобы он пойдет, так что параметры физической свободы.
To make smaller the dots. The shape, I don't know what it is.
Okay, yeah.
Coming.
I went like for copy and paste, and it says
Areal feature language. Okay, because you
what did I do?
you didn't turn on library, so library.
Oh, okay, that's why. Because I was in the other R.
Well, others no, but propose it with Greek letters.
You can put it over there, so it's more comfortable.
And then works.
Thank you.
I'm really wondering if I'm going to spend the remaining 2 days creating good looking maps for my first
I hope that it will be easier, much easier. But first map you created, say, just create another 2 or 3. Нет, вы видите, там сайт вообще-то. Нет. Вы знаете, что это да. Давайте сделаем HTML.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, she's fine. She's fine. And she knows. She wants to see
If you're there.
if I'm here. So that's what I could do. Oh, yeah. Like when they were young people, Swedish,
She goes to she can speak all
Yeah.
the three of those.
yeah, she goes to Voronovo school and stuff like that. So there they are, Swedish and she has been, I mean, I have a lot of friends who speak English, who speak English to her. She didn't speak it, but she has been exposed to
I didn't doubt that eventually she will speak English, but Bulgarian is more reading because I don't think you speak lots of Bulgarian.
Well, we speak Bulgarian at home, and there is this Bulgarian school that I don't like very much, but I go there for social studies. And there, like, she teaches the kids and other adults, so she's fully aware that it's not a whole lot. And she likes to speak so far. It's like this. She's so why does she speak Bulgarian? We have a secret language and we can say stuff that nobody will get. And she likes that. Oh, okay. So when we go to Bulgaria, we speak Swedish then? But she kind of likes this, that she can be, she knows something that other people don't. And she's also very proud of being Bulgarian. And the school where she goes, there are many kids that are like from very mixed marriages, or they're like immigrants themselves. So, I mean, I didn't know it was this way, but no, I mean, I kind of like it. Because she sees the world from the outside, and so I'm sure it's normal that, yeah, people would be from different places, and that's very place. So far we don't have that. I don't know how to tell you. But right now she's happy. She holds these relationships. She has an accent. She doesn't Swedish is accent free. She speaks.
Okay, should I have somebody else?
Let's say that I don't want to buy
Yeah, you try to do this, but this is a mistake. You need to one minus next to it. When you sign something. Yeah, sorry.
So you're in this case, right?
Yeah. It's actually out and minus. Minus, minus. Where is the minus? Okay, so alt minus will create you a zero.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see labels here, so I have to add parameters.
Yeah, we look up here. Oh wow, it doesn't work here. Wow, I didn't know this.
If I do this,
Совсем темно уже.
No, it works.
so it works only when I
mouse over, but you could change it. You could change it. Я думаю, что не знаю, почему это, потому что нужно обновить.
Okay, so when should we finish at 2 minutes before? At 7. At 7. Some of them struggle with this creating of this kind of maps that we saw here, that we've seen here. And I hope this is really easy. Just use some code that was previously in the slides. The last stuff that I want to show you is what you could do with the resulted maps. So I have this map, and you have here export, and you have here save as image, copy to clipboard, and save as web page. So there are actually plenty of ways of figuring out. For today, I'll propose you to save as image, and tomorrow we will discuss about the web pages and something like this. So let's try to save as image. You could change the size. So for instance, it will be this size. You could change the zoom or something. You could change the directory you save it to. You could change the name. You could you want anything you want. And if you want it to be in JPEG, BMP, or PNG, it will be those.
Hey, but it doesn't seem to be the option for cloud. It offers, at least to me, it offers only save as web page.
Sad story. Bad for them.
So, your maps for me.
Sorry. No, I'm going to figure it out. There was some way for creating. Okay, I know there is a solution of your problem, but not now. It's more a little bit complicated because I need to code for creating pictures. I have it on my page, but not now.
And it says that in order to process this, it needs a bunch of further packages installed.
I experienced something like this. So from this point of view, you could change this picture and put it in your work, and then it will be all. It's all. But I really don't know. I don't like this kind of way of doing things because it's not reproducible at all. Because you change something, zoom somewhere, and then save this picture. It will look nicely, but when suddenly you send this picture to Peter and he don't like tiny little stuff, you redo all this operation that you need to do. So if it's possible, try to create a map and save as way they are created. So change zooms in the code and not manually. So do manually as much as you, as less as you can, as little as you can. So now I could save it somewhere and it will be a picture of this, or this, or this, anyway. Tomorrow we'll discuss more complicated visualization. First, how to automatically cluster features, cluster some points based on your data, and look for some other kind of visualization, including facetization and different stuff. And I'll try to show you something about Markdown probably, and how to create sites like you've seen in the presentation. It's just a site that stored on GitHub, so it's easily to create something like goals, store it on GitHub, and it's all, your new database is created. And it's really not a big work. Something like 1 hour, and you have a new database of something. Okay? So you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, I'm not sure what we'll probably show how it can be done tomorrow or later, but I'm wondering a very simple thing, like I need a map with all Germanic languages and all Slavic languages, Germanic blue, Slavic red. What's the way to do it?
It's really simple, because you have something like
I make two
half languages. No, you want to get languages by affiliation. Will be German, and you have the same for Slavic. So you created a vector with these languages. And it will be languages. And this will be new data frame. And okay, it will be done in this one. And this I call df. So imagine that I've created something like this. df is just a list of Germanic languages and then Slavic one. What I need a new column with some affiliation of these languages. Okay, so I want to have the F affiliation, and this will be of one the F languages. Then I have df is changed, and it have Indo-European and something something. So you have something like this long affiliation. If you want to not do this way, you could create it of small, and here will be a little bit tricky code, but because it will be function repetition.
Okay. Well, the problem is that it's impossible to follow. It's impossible to follow you.
Okay, but
let alone try to write anything down. So.
And probably it's better to just write it down. What I'm doing here, I created a data frame, and then I want to have affiliation.
No. But one needs more time just to copy it from there.
But I will send it to you.
Okay.
So I know how many Germanic languages I do have in my database. It's 52. So I want to repeat word Germanic 52 times. This repetition stuff will repeat Germanic, 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 Germanic. And then I want to repeat Slavic. How many times?
22.
Probably you're right. 17, 18, 19, 20. No, for some reason you don't right. You're not right. Am I 17, 18, 19, 20? I think 20. So I have df with these languages, and then I create a map. Map feature, df languages, features, df affiliation. That's all. Yeah.
No.
Pennsylvanian German.
No.
Which are, so there are some strange varieties of German in Voronovo.
Yeah.
So we need to read off these languages, and then we will have a nice map. And you probably don't need the Afrikaans also. So the last thing, I just remove these 5 dots, and then I have a map. And then I will send you this simple map.
But the next problem is that they have no coordinates for some languages, and Norwegian, for example.
Yeah. And we need.
What's the problem with Norwegian?
I don't know. Because
That's a shame.
And Unisaurian that's spoken in one town, so it's pretty easy to make coordinates.
there are a lot of Norwegian, Yola. What is Yola? For some reason, there is no coordinates for Middle Low German. But then for all the German they probably have. Middle Deutsch, sorry guys, Dutch, Older Runic. Wow, what is that? Voronovo and Caucasian. That's funny. Caucasian have no coordinates, but you could. So then you need to figure out what is there and what is not there. Add this, and then you have a map.
Sorry, but you have only 52 German languages in the whole database. So there gonna be some mislink with the glottal because they have more than 100 and we...
Yeah, probably. But again, it's the older version.
Okay.
And what if... Well, what if I need my language to be put to have a different name and to be put in a slightly different location from what global counts?
Okay, I could do something like this. Write CSV df and my languages dot CSV.
Okay,
And then you open it in Excel, correct, and read it to the R, and then you can have it.
So did you just explain how we import our own data tables?
Actually, I didn't want, but I did.
Okay, that went a little bit fast. Are you gonna, do you plan on repeating it or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll repeat it tomorrow.
Okay.
So it's all for today. Let's have a start. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.